Welcome. We're back. Crazy day. Yesterday night when we were looking at futures, they were down a lot. And then pre-market today, things were just dumping. I mean, I think the NASDAQ futures were down like 2% or something pre-market. Had a very rough open for most stocks across the board. And then we had a nice intraday bounce. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. You did get near a support, but not really. But we had a good bounce. And again, for the second night in a row, futures are falling. It's not as bad as they were last night. Last night, the NASDAQ futures were down 1%. Right now, the NASDAQ futures are down 0.5%. So it just continues. I mean, we've had yesterday and today be really rough days for the market overall, even though we did have some nice bounces today on some certain stocks, and futures are just continuing to drop. So the selling continues. The bears are still in control. I don't think it's the end of the world. Even if we open red again tomorrow, I think we can still get a nice intraday bounce at some point. You just have to be careful. I mean, there's always two ways to play it. Either you just kind of wait it out and you just weather the storm, or you try and time it. And if you're wrong, you're probably going to miss some opportunities. If you're right, you're probably going to be in the most optimal scenario. So it just depends on how you play it. But for right now, futures are continuing to slide. NASDAQ futures down 0.55%. S&P futures down 0.45%. Today, the S&P actually underperformed, which it hasn't in a while. It's been the NASDAQ that's really been underperforming for the last week or so. But the NASDAQ actually had a pretty flat day to close things off. After a really rough open, it really recovered. Same thing for the Russell. It was down a lot, but then it recovered quite a bit. The S&P, it recovered somewhat. We'll go over it later. But yeah, we're going to talk about stocks after we talk about crypto. And crypto had a pretty decent day. I mean, it wasn't insanely good, but it was good. A lot of altcoins had nice moves today. If we're just looking at Bitcoin, let's go over to the 4-hour. You're still just kind of in this upsloping channel on Bitcoin right now. So it's not bullish or bearish in the short term. It's just neutral. You're like literally right in the middle of the channel as well. And this like yellow area that I have shaded over here is just the supply area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times that Bitcoin's gotten between 57 to 60k. It's had a sharp pullback. So that's just an area where there's a lot of selling. If you ever break above it, you're probably going to go to a new all-time high in my opinion, but you're under it for now. So we can't really talk about that yet. And yeah, I put out 2 new crypto trades today. If you remember earlier, well, not earlier in the week, yesterday, this crypto trade hit the target for a 23% gain. Probably put it out like 10 days ago, and it finally hit the target yesterday for a 23% move. And then right like minutes after it hit the target, it started pulling back. And then when Bitcoin had a big pullback yesterday, this just dumped and then it's recovered again. But that's like, you know, that's in the past now. Let's talk about the 2 new crypto trades I put out today. The first one we're going to talk about is NUUSD. Currently, this is up about 6% since I alerted it today. At one point, this was up like 12%. It just had a pretty decent pullback, but it was up 12% for a little bit. And then in like the last 2 hours, it's kind of pulled back about halfway. But it still looks good. You bounced at the PCZ of a bullish Gartley with classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour. And if we zoom out to the daily, all this is happening within a descending broadening wedge, which is a bullish pattern. So this crypto trade is doing well. I put out another crypto trade, which is also up 5% right now. So I alerted this today. It's currently up 5%. And the idea of this one was pretty much a descending wedge with classic bullish divergence, which was also in this like multi-level range. So this one's off to a nice start. It's about to test the supply line. Kind of have to sneeze. I think I'm good. But it's about to test the supply line. So we'll see if it is able to break out here, or if it pulls back before breaking out later, if it just doesn't work out at all. For now, it's in profit, so not much to worry about there. And yeah, I mean, across the board, crypto's had a nice move. Ethereum continuing to go crazy. I mean, it dipped with Bitcoin yesterday, and then it's pretty much recovered all the way back up, and it's near all-time highs again. So Ethereum's doing well. Dogecoin, we'll just look at it really quickly. then we'll get over to stocks. Let's just look at this one. Bounced off of like 42 cents, also recovered today. So pulling back a little bit right now. Let's talk about stocks for a little bit. Fubo went up a lot after hours. It wasn't technical, it was just people reacted well to the earnings. So let me see where it closed at after hours. Fubo closed at 21.66, so pretty much about around right there where that white line is where Fubo closed after hours, up 23% after hours, and it was up 8% today. So up about 30% overall today, which is really, really impressive considering I believe like at the open, it was down. Like it went all the way. So Fubo went from $14.66. Just do it like this. Fubo from the lowest point of the day to where it closed after hours went up about 47%. That is insane. So great stuff. I mean, I wasn't in Fubo, but congratulations to whoever was in it. Hopefully you didn't get stopped out or whatever of your own trade during the morning because it was very volatile, but it just increased like half of its value in one day, which in the grand scheme of things is like nothing compared to how much it's lost. But it's a nice move, certainly good stuff. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Fubo. And then I'll spend some time on Fisker after we cover the markets. I have a lot to talk about. So let's look at the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Russell, the volatility index, the 10-year yields, the dollar. We have a lot to talk about because that's what's affecting all of these stocks, right? They're displaying what the stocks are doing. I do look like my brother, yeah. CPI numbers out tomorrow, some more chop. Yeah, the volatility is just continuing. I don't think there's a clear signal for either direction for now. I shared this with the Discord earlier today, but you actually have technically a bearish pattern on like pretty much ever since the middle of April until now. You've been creating this bearish pattern on the S&P that I just noticed today. This is known as a right-angled and ascending broadening formation, where you have a very clear support and then you have an upsloping resistance line or supply line. And your support level is 41.18. If you break under 41.18, like with a confirmation, you're probably going to test 40.86 on the S&P, which was just your previous high in the beginning of April. And if you break that, you're probably going to fill this gap down to 40.20. So if you break under 41.18, you have a lot of room to the downside, like more room to the downside, even though you've already fallen 2% off the all-time highs. So not great, but you haven't broken that support, so you're okay for now, right? Everything's fine for right now. You actually did test the support today. You got a little bit under it, but if we go over to the 30-minute chart, you can see you kind of got a bullish pin bar off of the support area. It wasn't exact. On this candle, it was actually exact, but on this one, you fell a little bit under it. The bulls got it back over, and then you rallied up towards the close, and then futures dropped in the last hour or so. But the S&P futures are at 41.29, which is still above 41.18, so they're okay for now, but anything can happen overnight. And this is a level, okay? Chart this. You want to stay above 4118 on the S&P 500. If you break under that with a candle close confirmation on the 4-hour, that would be a bearish breakout to the downside at the top of the wedge, which is like a much longer term thing, which is also technically bearish. So technicals are not looking great, but you're still very well in a bear market. You're not even close to jeopardizing you're still very much in a bull market. You're not even close to jeopardizing that. You have so much more room to fall before even talking about the end of this bull market. So we'll see what happens on the S&P 500. Hit that, I forgot to say, but make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And the Russell, it actually broke out. Didn't mean to do that. It actually broke out of this channel that it was in. Let me try and chart it really quickly. This was the channel that the Russell was in. This is the small cap index. And it broke out of it to the downside yesterday. So it already broke out of it yesterday at the close, and then today it fell down more, but the bulls stepped up, and you actually, pretty much what you did was you gapped down quite a bit, where you opened over here, and then you rallied all the way back up to fill the gap from your gap down today. That's what happened on both the Russell and the NASDAQ. So the Russell, you're at a make or break area, 219. It was your support over here, and over here, and over here, and even back over there in February. So You want to be above 219 on the Russell tomorrow, but future is not looking so good right now. If we're looking at the NASDAQ, this one was kind of random. I think really what happened today was the Russell and the NASDAQ just kind of went their own way, and they were still red, but they recovered very nicely. I think what happened on small caps and tech stocks is that they just went to fill the gaps. You had a big gap down, and then the bulls rallied back up the price to fill the gaps, and you filled the gap down like 2 hours before the market closed. But for 2 hours, you couldn't go much higher. So you pretty much gapped down, ran all the way back up to fill the gap, and then you just kind of went sideways for the rest of the day. That's really what happened on, the Russell and the NASDAQ. But really where things kind of shifted for the S&P is when this happened. When the volatility index went to the 200-day moving average and it fell, that's really when the market started having a nice intraday bounce. So I think the reason the market had an intraday bounce today was actually because of the volatility index. It was shooting up in the morning, and it actually is not good being over 20 on the volatility index. Usually it's very hectic for a lot of stocks. But intraday, you had a good thing where you hit the 200-day moving average, and like literally to the cent, you pulled back. And then right when this happened, I was watching it happen, is when the NASDAQ and the S&P and the Russell all started having a big bounce, while the S&P was testing the support level that I was already talking about. So that's kind of how you got the bounce today. The bounce didn't mean much, but it was good for a lot of stocks. Now, what do I mean by that? The actual S&P and the NASDAQ and the Russell, there's still nothing bullish to be talking about on any of these indices other than the trend. The trend is obviously still bullish. You're in a very nice uptrend, but there's no divergence or patterns or anything to talk about. So the indices, I can't really give you an answer. They still kind of look neutral. But the good thing was on the intraday bounce that you had in the indices, it allowed for a lot of stocks to get reversal signals. So because you had these bounces and the VIX pulled back towards the end of the day, a lot of growth stocks, which have been dumping for the past 2 months, actually had a very nice move. And I'll go over a few of them. Fisker's one of them. And I guess we could just start off with Fisker. But you can see Fisker, it gapped down and it was really low pre-market. I think it went down to like 930 pre-market, but then it opened at 973, and then you just bounced for the rest of the day until you got the 1080, and then you pull back like 10 cents. So that's, and I'm going to get to Fisker more in depth in a second here, but that was the case for a lot of stocks today, where you had that gap down, but then the bulls came back into control for an intraday move, and what happened was immediately you filled your gap down, and that's a bullish thing. To gap down in price and then immediately the bulls say, all right, we're going right back up, that's showing that there is buying volume at those levels, right? So that was a good sign. And then also a lot of growth stocks are showing these harmonic patterns with bullish divergence on the 4-hour and the daily. And the last time I remember all these growth stocks and small caps and mid caps showing these massive patterns and divergence was back in like the end of September and early October, right around like over here. This is kind of when I remember all the growth stocks and stuff were showing really, really bullish technicals. And since then you had a nice move, then you pulled back again, but since then you've been in a very nice trend, you can see. So this is what a lot of growth stocks had, a very nice technical day where they showed good signs. But the thing is, you need follow through price action tomorrow. They can't just sell back off tomorrow, because then you're still in your downtrend. You need to see continuation. Now, if the market opens red tomorrow, you're probably going to get a pullback at the open on most of the growth stocks. But what we're looking for tomorrow is a confirmation low, okay? So why did I not put out any new trades today, even though I'm saying a lot of growth stocks are showing reversal signals? Because all they did was bounce. They did not give me confirmation, right? When you're trying to get into a trade, you need confirmation. So why I don't really mind the futures being red overnight is because if we open red tomorrow, it allows for us to retest the day's lows. And what I'm really looking for tomorrow on a lot of EVs, on a lot of pot stocks and small caps, is to retest the lows that we had today and to bounce off of them so we can get a double bottom. And that just says not once, but twice the bulls said that they wanted to buy it at that area, at that lower price point. That is what I'm looking for. And there's only 23 people in the stream right now. And that's obviously a major let's say, indicator. A lot of people are not happy with what's going on. They don't really want to think about stocks at night. They just probably want to, get their dinner, watch TV, and just forget about it for a little bit. But if you really put in that work, you can clearly see right now that a lot of things are setting up. And I'm saying that right now. The last time I talked like this, that I was saying things are really setting up, was right over here. It was this exact day, March 5th. I put out a tweet, I pinged the Discord, I talked about it on stream. It was very simple. You were at the bottom of the wedge and a lot of stocks were looking good. And then you had a massive, massive run, especially for tech stocks, not really for growth stocks. Pretty much since then, the growth stocks have been dumping, and the large cap tech stocks have been running up until the last 2 or 3 weeks. Like March and the first half of April was great for large caps and tech. But for the people who are in the stream tonight that are not shy of having a volatile market and that will show up no matter what, you're being gifted with the signals that I'm talking about. You're going to be the first ones to know that a lot of these growth stocks are finally putting in reversal signals after dumping for 2 months. EVs, pot stocks, whatever. And then tomorrow is the day that either we confirm these reversals or we fail. So tomorrow is the make or break day for growth stocks. It's not the make or break day for the NASDAQ or the S&P or the Russell. They're all still very neutral. If the S&P breaks under 4120, it could just dump more. So it's not a make or break day tomorrow for the market. Tomorrow's a make or break day for growth stocks. All those stocks that had those big bounces today, you need to watch them again tomorrow and see if they either just continue going up or if they hold above today's lows. So just to make it very clear, because I don't want people to say I didn't warn about this, because it's a potential, and I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure. What you want tomorrow is to not fall under today's lows on these growth stocks. For example, on Fisker, your low today was $9.61. What you are looking for tomorrow is simply to not fall under $9.61. Does that make sense? That's what you want to do on all the stocks that had the intraday bounces today. You want to, even if you dip in the morning because the futures are red, you want to make sure you hold above today's lows. All right, I repeated it 3 times. Hopefully it's crystal clear now. That's what I mean by confirmation. I want to see double bottoms. I want to see hammer candles. I want to see bullish engulfing candles. All of those things. That's what I'm looking for tomorrow. And if I get those signals tomorrow, you might see me spamming out trade alerts. But if I don't get those things tomorrow and you break under today's lows, you're probably not going to see me putting out any alerts. So if you're watching the stream, you got the heads up before anybody else for being here. There you go. That's what I'm looking at. It doesn't mean for sure growth stocks are reversing. It just means if we get confirmation, there's a good chance. And I'm probably going to, if they really do confirm tomorrow, I'm probably going to come back to this stream in 3 weeks and say, did I not talk about it when there was only 26 people in the stream? And all the other people who weren't here were going to be like, wow, we really missed out. That's their fault. And that's what I'm trying to bring up tonight. So we're going to look at a lot of charts. Now we can talk more about technicals and individual stocks. Probably going to talk about 5-10 stocks for a few minutes. And then after that, we'll do ticker requests. But yeah, let me take a look at the chat. Let's talk about Fisker, IPGP, SPG. We already talked about Fubo. I want to talk about a few stocks I'm looking at tomorrow. And then we'll do chat requests after. But if you missed the last 10 minutes of the stream, go back and watch it. I'm going to repeat this many, many times because I have a feeling that if we get the confirmation tomorrow, and there's no certainty that we're going to get confirmation tomorrow, but if we do, it could be growth season again. All right, but we have to get confirmation. And then the other part about it is if the S&P breaks support, that might screw it up for a lot of growth stocks. So regardless of the growth stocks bouncing today, if the S&P dumps, people are probably going to be panicking. So that's the other risk. I'm just trying to give you all the variables so that you know what to do tomorrow when you're looking at the charts. I'm just trying to throw all the potential scenarios out there so that no matter what happens, you know what it means, or it might not mean anything. It might just be neutral. But time's going to tell. We're going to find out in 12 hours. But let's talk about Fisker and what happened today. This was another gift from last night's stream. I didn't alert it or anything just because when it was bouncing, I was trying to enter it myself. And by the time I was thinking about alerting it, it had already gone up 6%. And I don't want to be chasing things. But what we talked about last night on Fisker literally happened today. if you rewatch last night's stream, I spent like 20 minutes talking about Fisker. And really all I said was you want to test 970, bounce off of it, and you want to see your daily MACD start waning. All those things happened today. So Fisker, from the lows of the day to the highs of the day, had a 12% intraday bounce. It closed up 4% because it gapped down, but it went up 12% from the low to the high, or the low to the close, which is a very good move. And why did that happen? A major reason for this happening was because a lot of growth stocks were doing the same exact thing. They were filling their gap downs, but Fisker went above filling its gap down. It filled its gap down and then it kept going. So you had a lot of strength at the PCZ. Pre-market, you were under the PCZ. I think it went down to like 920 something or 930 something. But remember, and I always talk about this, what matters as a technical trader is what happened during market hours. What happens pre-market and after hours, it's a different type of people trading. It's a different flow. It's typically lower volume, probably except for today. Pre-market today was very volatile. But what happens when you're charting is just what happened during the market hours. And during the market hours, you opened at 961. Well, it's saying you opened at 973. Your low was 961. So you actually opened right at the PCZ. Okay? So it was down a lot more pre-market. But Fisker, based on market hours, opened right at the pattern completion zone, pretty much to the cent of this bullish butterfly, and it just bounced. Like right away, it just started bouncing. I got in calls very, very quickly. I shared the calls that I got in with the premium members. The calls went up like 30%. I'm still holding them. But yeah, it did exactly what I wanted it to. I could probably play a clip. I posted a clip on my Twitter. Let's see if I can pull it up really quickly. Just to say, if anybody missed last night's stream, to just repeat what I said last night. Alright, it's right over here. So let me drag it over and turn off the music for a second. Pattern completion zone of this bullish bat is about $9.70. That would be the 2618 from B to D. Pattern completion zone of this bullish bat is about $9.70. That would be the 2618 from B to D, and that's actually what happened on the last butterfly. From B to D, Fisker reversed at the 2618, and then it went up like 150%, like in one move. So if you're looking for a new butterfly, the same exact pattern, it's there. It's on the chart, but the pattern completion zone is 970. Maybe, and again, this is the most optimal scenario. You get down to the pattern completion zone of the butterfly, you get a great bounce, and then your MACD does something like this. Like, this is what I want to see Fisker do. All right. Let me just draw it out. I'm not going to make you watch that whole clip, but that's essentially what started to happen. Obviously, the whole entire thing didn't happen. I'm talking about like a midterm move, but you got the bounce at the pattern completion zone, and you're showing divergence on every single time scale. Well, all the time scales that I look at. So a lot changed in one day for Fisker. Last night on Fisker, all we had was the PCZ of the butterfly, and that was it. We didn't have any divergence. We didn't have any candles to talk about. But today, we have a nice green candle from a gap down, which got filled, and we have divergence on the 1 hour, 4 hour, and the daily. If we go down to the 1 hour on Fisker, you have pretty much classic bullish divergence on the MACD, and on the RSI, you do have, for sure have, I don't know what I just did, you have classic bullish divergence on the 1 hour RSI. If we go over to the 4 hour, you don't have divergence on the MACD, but you do have classic bullish divergence on the RSI. And if we go to the daily, you're only starting to develop classic bullish divergence on both the MACD and the RSI. So you are now at the pattern completion zone of a very bullish pattern, the bullish butterfly. I know I said bullish bat in that clip, I just messed up my words. It's a bullish butterfly with divergence. That's very good. That's pretty much the same exact thing that happened right over here, and you went up 150%. Now, this was a very different time for the EV sector, to be fair. Right now, the EV sector is coming off of a very horrible dump. Back over here, the EV sector was really getting super hot. So obviously, there's a big difference in the sentiment right now. but we'll see what happens. Okay, it's just a start. I wanted to put out a trade on Fisker for everybody today. I just missed it. So if it dips again tomorrow, like I talked about earlier in the stream, if the market opens red, or even if it doesn't open red and Fisker just dips, I'm looking to enter on I'm looking to put out a trade on a dip. I've already entered myself, but I'm looking to put out a trade on a dip. I just missed putting it out today with everything that was going on in the morning. So that's Fisker. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Exactly what we talked about on last night is starting to happen. It didn't happen yet. It's just starting to happen, and that's a good start. All right, we'll see what happens. Premium members, the call options are up nicely. Futures are bouncing a little bit over here. I could probably go down to the 30-minute chart. Starting to recover a little bit. Now you're only down about 1/3%. You were down 0.5% when I started streaming, so okay for now, but you still have a long time until the market opens. And that's Fisker. What else I want to talk about? We really don't have that many ongoing trades for non-premium members, which debatably is a good thing from what's been happening the last few days. But one of them, actually all three of the ongoing non-premium trades are in profit. So IPGP, which I alerted yesterday, is up 2%. It went a little bit under the support, but it got right back above it. It was just being weird in the morning like most other things. Very good stuff. You pretty much did bounce at the PCC of not only the bullish crab, but also the bullish bat. Good stuff there. SPG is also in profit just by a little bit. It's still at the entry, so it's just, it fell down. It got volatile with what happened in the morning, but it bounced up. And then PGRE, it's been in profit for a really long time. It's just kind of not doing that much. So that's really, some things I wanted to talk about. I also forgot to talk about, I did talk about the VIX for a little bit, the volatility index. You want this to get back under 20, but you're not. So it's just kind of chopping in between 20 and then the 200-day moving average. So it's kind of like a weird area where you're still under the 200-day moving average. So it's not the end of the world, but you want to get back under 20 because that was, a support level and you want to be under it. You want this to go down. Then the US 10-year yield went up today. Have I not been saying for the past week that this looks bullish? I mean, now you actually have confirmed hidden bullish divergence on the MACD and RSI. You already broke out the descending wedge. You already put in the bullish hammer candle right over here. It's been bullish for the last 2 weeks. I've been talking about it nonstop, and it went up today when the market went down. So fortunately, there is a resistance right over here. Where is this even from? I think it's from some previous supports in 2015 and 2016. So you're right under resistance. Hopefully it just rejects the resistance and dumps. But if I'm going to be unbiased here, this does look like a bullish setup. And if it breaks over 1.65, you're probably just going to retest your highs from the end of March, which is 1.77. If you break that, you're probably going to head to 190, which is just your next resistance on the 10-year notes. All right. And then the dollar, not too much today. Don't really have much to talk about there. The SPAC ETF looks very similar to what a lot of growth stocks and SPACs did today. Gap down, but then rallied back up to either get close to filling the gap or to actually fill the gap down, which is a good thing, but you need confirmation, which you don't have until tomorrow or the day after or the rest of the week. It can take some time. And then the Dow Jones, just to cover that, not good. I mean, this is pretty much a shooting star candle. And then you have a gap down. I mean, the trend is just so bullish. All this thing has done for the past 6 months to just go parabolically up. Obviously since the COVID crash, it's been going up, but really in the last 6 months, the Dow Jones has just been going straight up, not even just little by little. It's just been going right up. So it's hard to be bearish on this trend, but if you're just going to be looking at candlesticks, that is a bearish setup on the Dow Jones. And then the QQQ, I actually like how it closed above 324, which used to be the resistance, but you can easily get right back under it, so I'm not too sure. You just did the same thing. You gapped down, and then you ran back up to fill the gap, and then you kind of went sideways for the last couple hours of the day, which was a story for a lot of different stocks. And yeah, that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about. Don't know what else. Let's see. I was doing a bunch of scanning today, so I have a lot of tickers that I'm looking at going into tomorrow. But like I said, 7 times, I'm looking for the confirmation. I'm looking to see if we can hold above today's lows. If we can get double bottoms and hammer candles and bullish engulfing candles, I'm looking for that. But you know, a few things I'm looking at are THCB and then a bunch of other stocks. But the thing is, I was doing scanning today, and it's just so strange that like all these good stocks that I'm looking at, let me give you an example. Let's say, I think Blink was one of them. Earnings. Another one was Plug. Earnings. They all have earnings like this week or next week. Sundial is another one. Actually had earnings today after hours. So it's like all the stocks that have like really good divergence and harmonics and patterns, they have like earnings this week or next week, which it makes it hard because earnings always a 50-50. So we'll see what happens. Another SPAC that I've been starting to look into a little bit is THCB, which has pretty much went from $25 all the way back down to $10, which is around the redemption share price for a SPAC. So looking at this, not really for technicals, just for fundamentals, I've been looking into what they're doing. And yeah, there's a few other things I'm looking at. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And that really covers everything I want to talk about. So make sure to hit that like button if that gave you some more clarity, if you enjoyed the streams. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the streams. And yeah, this is probably not going to be the longest stream, but I'll look at tickers for as long as you guys want me to. So if you want me to look at something for you, just drop the tickers in the chat and I'll take a look. Don't request something. I was up 5,000% today, even though there probably wasn't much. And then don't request something that IPO'd like recently, because there's not going to be data on the chart for me to analyze. And remember, no matter what I say, it's not financial advice. And I'm looking at so many charts that I'm like with 100% certainty I'm going to be wrong on what I say on some of them. It's just simple probability in math. If you look at 100 things, you're going to be wrong on a handful of them, right? So it's just my opinions, just technicals from my understanding of them. That's all I'm doing. Let me take a look at the chat though. Let's see. Do you ever rotate into Dow Jones stocks with this market rotation? For premium trades, I've been doing a lot of for premium trades, what I've been doing is I've just been following the money. So like the last apart from last week and the first 2 days of this week, which have not been too great for premium trades, like the last 3 or 4 weeks, I was just following the money. So when like large cap and tech stocks were running, the premium trades were doing really, really well. I remember there was that 1 week where like the premium trades were crushing it because I was like all the names were like large cap and tech stocks. Let me just see if I can find it. It was this week. Either this week or another week. This week was also good for non-premium trades as well, but maybe this one, no. This one, yeah. So you can see like all these premium trades are on like the top half of the sheet, and then these were all like non-premium trades. Because like in hindsight, like most of these trades were like large cap and tech stocks, and like, you know, a month ago before all the earnings, the large cap and the tech stocks were running up to earnings. So what I've been doing on a lot of the premium trades is I've just been following the money, which it's been working well for the last like month and a half up until last week. Last week was not good for the premium swings. Yesterday and today have not been great for the premium swings. But we've been doing some good options trades in the last week. Like last week we crushed it on options, and then this week we've also had 2 good options, Fisker options today, and then one other thing which I'm not going to talk about for now. But last week we had IWM calls that went up 100%. We had, I can't even remember. Let me see if I could pull it up real quick. We had Penn calls, IWM calls, Intel calls, and Rocket calls that crushed it last week. But the swings for premium did not do good last week or do well last week. We'll see what happens. I'm just giving you some explanation if you're, thinking about it, or if you just want to know because you're asking about my thoughts on if I follow rotation. So yeah. And then recently, like in the past 2 weeks, I haven't put out that many my grammar's so bad. I haven't put out that many non-premium trades just because I'm waiting for things to get a little bit more clear. And that's actually yesterday and today, it's actually been a good thing because of how many things have been dropping. But like I just said in the beginning of the stream, as soon as things give me confirmation tomorrow, I have things in my back pocket that I'm ready to put out, but I'm not going to just kind of be like, whatever, I'll throw it out. I want to wait for confirmation before I do. Hopefully we get that tomorrow. So let's look at some of these tickers in the chat. Keep hitting that like button. Let's get to 30 likes if you haven't hit that like button. I know for sure 10 of you have not. So let me type in all these tickers and we'll take a look. SQGB does not show up on my trading view. I was looking at XPV today as well. It's actually doing something very interesting. We can look at it first. TRUL, LEV, Ethereum, whatever. AHT, oh, SQBG, okay. We'll look at XPV first. This is one of the things that's on my watch list for a potential swing trade, but I'm waiting for confirmation. So this is XPV. Again, like I just said, all these things that are looking good from a technical standpoint, they have earnings like this week or next week. So this is the thing with this one. It's like, I'll show you why it looks kind of interesting. But like earnings are in 2 days. So that's obviously going to override the technicals to either way. But what I'm looking at on XPV is this, pretty close to a double bottom, kind of at the PCZ of a bullish crab. So you had that golden retrace from X to B, and then you pretty much came back down to the 1618 from B to D, not once but twice. You did go a little bit under it today, but like you closed at that area. Like you pretty much closed, if I just move this over, you pretty much closed right at the golden retrace, or right at the PCZ from B to D. So I'm watching XPV right now. But again, it needs to hold above today's lows, which was $23. That's what I'm saying. For all these growth stocks, you need to hold above today's lows tomorrow. And then also another thing here is you can see it kind of closed like right at the candle high from like the IPO date. It's like that's kind of where it closed, which is around the lows from March 5th, which is when the S&P was at the bottom of the wedge. So it's on my watch list. It already was, but it needs some work. So I'll wait for it to give me more signs. ZOM, I'm very glad to see that it's up 10% because we've been looking at it like every night. It looks like what it did was it fell under 88 cents, but then it got, remember how we talked about this? I'm sure you do, but because you asked about it, I pretty much did something like this where I said, you want to reverse between 88 cents and the 200-day moving average because you have 3 potential ways to reverse. The 88 cent support, a double bottom, or the 200-day moving average. For now, it looks like you actually held a potential double bottom. It doesn't even look like a double bottom yet, but you bottomed twice at like 73 cents. So as long as you're above that, really as long as you're above the 200-day moving average, it's fine. But of course, like I've been saying since up here, there's a large amount of risk until you clear this support area and get back above it. So we'll see what happens. Nice day today. You now actually have triple classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour. So nice. Just got to get back above 88 cents and it looks pretty good actually. Now it's really starting to set up for a double bottom with divergence, but earnings are next week. So I know I have a few more tickers to add. I'll do it after I finish out all of these tickers. IDEX. It looks like this hidden bearish divergence ended up playing out and it dropped towards the bottom of this range, kind of really between like 225 to 247 is the support. Bounced off of it at a 5% bounce and then went up a little bit more. I don't know, it looks fine. It's kind of like you have some class B classic bullish divergence where you made the same low on price and then less negative momentum on your second island and then a higher low on your RSI, so that's good. It shows that the sellers were a little bit exhausted today in the morning. And you're above the 200-day moving average. Really, as long as you can hold above 225, it's fine. But earnings, again, they're coming up soon. This is the thing. For all these things that are looking like they're setting up, they all have earnings like in the next week or two because a lot of growth stocks have earnings. This is like earnings season for small caps, EVs, growth, SPACs. Well, X-SPACs because SPACs themselves don't have earnings. See what happens. SESN, I don't see much of an edge. Looks like earnings just occurred yesterday, maybe, according to TradingView. You actually do have some hidden bullish divergence developing on the 4-hour where you made a higher low on price and then a lower level of negative momentum on your MACD. I'd say your support is around like 207 from this low and then this low, but you're obviously like 20% of 16% above that, so I'm not too sure. I don't see like a pattern or anything. Maybe you're starting to just range, you know, top of the range, bottom, top, bottom, kind of towards the bottom now again. Charge point, wow. So this really what happened here was it created a kind of like a bullish crab, even though I guess it got into the PCZ range, but not like an actual Fibonacci sequence, which is what you prefer it to be at for more probability. But it's just been bottoming 1, 2, 3, almost 4 times around like 19.50. It got down to $20 today and then bounced up. As long as you're above 19.23, it's fine. I don't see anything bearish. It looks fine. Just hold above 19.23, but of course that gives you more than 10% room just to get back to your support. So you'd have to have a loose stop loss if you're playing the support, or not, then you wouldn't. Lots was looking good. I never put out this trade. I was thinking about putting on a trade on lots, but earnings were coming up, and that's why you don't. Well, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but I don't trade around earnings just because it's like gambling, because like it could go either way. So very rarely will I ever trade during earnings. Like the only time there's only a few stocks I've actually held through earnings. Some of them worked out well, some of them didn't. Fisker and QS I held through earnings. Those worked out very, very well back in February. Clover I held through earnings. That worked out horribly. But lots also did not do too well on earnings. Gap down. Really, there's not much to talk about until you get back above 643. That was your support 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And then with earnings, you gap down under it. So it was down a lot, I think, yesterday after market. And you need to get back above that, otherwise you have no support left. TRUL, another one that has earnings soon. According to TradingView, earnings are on, I think, Thursday. It looks fine. You're trying to double bottom around like 44 bucks. Kind of like a dragon pattern, actually. I mean, it's usually you want your double bottom to be inside the supply line, so I'm not too sure, but you know, you had a supply line that you broke out of and then you double bottomed. So higher low double bottom, still above the 200-day moving average. The technicals are fine, but earnings will swing it either way, and I'm not too sure which way. LEV, no clue. I don't see an edge. I don't see bullish or bearish variables, so it's just neutral. Can't really give you an answer or a probability. Ethereum, we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's actually showing hidden bullish divergence on the 4-hour, which implies a continuation of this uptrend. And it is inches away from creating a new all-time high. Yeah, new all-time high would pretty much be anything over 4,200, and it's at 4177. So if you go to the 1 hour, that's literally like a V-shaped recovery after the Bitcoin fall yesterday, which pulled back Ethereum. AHT looks like you're breaking out of a falling wedge. You had classic bullish divergence, which is already playing out and is inching above the 200-day moving average. Let's see. It's technically, it closed to 1 cent under the 200-day moving average, so you want to get back above that tomorrow. And if you can do that, then there's not much resistance until 377. And then I'd say your support would just be where you tweezer bottomed over here. Very textbook tweezer bottom plus bullish engulfing candle. These two candles, the green candle engulfed the red candle's body, and they both have very similar looking candles after a downtrend. That's a nice candle setup, and you're going sideways after it. So as long as you hold above the lows of this candle body, which is about 247, it's fine. And yeah, it's AHT, SQBG. Chart looks a little bit weird. I don't know what this is. It kind of looks like how a SPAC would look. I don't even know if it's a SPAC because it has a lot of data in it. It used to be at much higher levels, so probably not. I'm on the weekly and it looks like this thing got crushed. So I don't know what happened for this to go from $33.29 to $13, but that's not a good thing long term. Short term, sure, it's at a crazy good value, but good is like a synonym because it's not, wait, a synonym is like a similar word. Good's like a, what we call good. Good's like, I'm saying good like sarcastically, because yeah, it could pump in the short term, but like in the long term, like it's just been in a horrible downtrend. So I'm not too sure on this one. I mean, it looks like your two major supports are 446 and then 865. You're above both of them, but it looks very, very volatile. This is just not something I personally trade. All right, it was up 37% today. I don't trade things after they do that. Obviously, every trade I hope does that at some point, but I don't trade it after that already happens. I'll add in a bunch of new tickers as well. Any crypto alerts soon? Matey, where you been today? I put out two new crypto alerts today. Both of them are in profit. NU is up. It was up 12%. I put this out around like noon or something, and like 2 hours ago this trade was already up 12%. It pulled back some. Right now it's up about 8% since the alert today. And then FIL I also alerted today, which is now up about 3%. It rejected the breakout, which is what we talked about literally right in the beginning of the stream. I said right at the start of the stream, you're testing that falling wedge supply line. You probably are going to see some volatility here. I didn't say that word for word, but that's what you do at supply lines. And you pull back at it. Trade's still in profit. Just give it time to play out or not. But yeah, both the new crypto trades are in profit by 3% and 8%. Yeah, I put them in the member alerts channel in the Discord for everybody. How you doing, Neutron Flux Labs? Let me take a look at the chat again. I know I missed a bunch of tickers. I'll add them in now. We need one more like to hit 30 likes. So if you didn't hit that like button yet, do it right now. All right, let's see what else we missed. NVTA, yep, that's on my watch list. I think, did you share NVTA in the Discord? Somebody did. It's at a make or break area, which is 28 bucks, but it looks good if it can hold above 28. It closed like 2 cents under it. Twitter, Clover, DNKN is not on TradingView, so I can't chart it. Lots. Oh, well, we already looked at Lots, but yeah, Lots, you're saying, had great earnings, but still dumped. A lot of things have been doing that recently. A lot of tech stocks did that. Was it last? I think it was the week before last week. RSI, I can't really give you much of an answer here. Created a new all-time low today. It's saying that earnings are apparently on Thursday, but TradingView is wrong sometimes, so verify that yourself. I mean, there is like quadruple classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour, which is showing that the sellers are exhausted. You even have divergence on your RSI. So the oscillators look good on the 4-hour. Even on the daily, you have classic bullish divergence. So the oscillators do look good on this for sure. But I don't really see much of a pattern, if I'm being honest. I mean, you could probably try and call it like a falling wedge or something that broke out. It doesn't even look like a falling wedge like that. Let's see. Probably something like that. Like it broke out of it, but like it's just not going up. I don't know. Just a really rough trend. So if this divergence plays out, your 200-day moving average is 1539. You have a resistance at 1462 from these highs. Other than that, there's not much I can do for you on this chart. CCIV. I don't think this is divergence anymore because it didn't make a higher low. So that's not divergence. But it looks like CCIV is trying to double bottom around like 1750 in that area. As long as you hold above today's low, it's fine. Just like a lot of different growth stocks and EVs, like I talked about in the beginning of the stream. What you're looking for tomorrow is to not fall under today's lows, no matter how good or bad the market opens tomorrow morning. And yeah, that's really all I can talk about on CCIV. Just it's trying to double bottom. Hopefully it does, and then 2113 is your resistance. NVTA, you shared it in the Discord. This is not an official alert for right now, but I was thinking about putting it out. Still debating it because I really want to see it hold above 28 bucks. Now let me show you why that's important. That was your support right over here and your resistance right over here. Anything else? Yeah, it was even your resistance right over here, and that's about it. But 28's your ice line, or support, historical support resistance level. You're pretty much right at it, so it's not clear if you're above it or below it. So I just want to wait for some more confirmation. But this is how I would like size it up. I'd probably throw my stop loss under today's low, like I'm talking about on all these growth stocks. Probably just throw my stop loss under today's low. I'd target, I think there was a gap fill or something on the 4 hour. No, I think I targeted the B point of the harmonic, and then I targeted top of the harmonic. That's how I just target. Stop loss under today's low, and then targets are the B point and the A and C points of the bullish crab. So yeah, even some very little classic bullish divergence on the 4 hour. So we'll see how that plays out. Clover, you are developing hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour. That implies a continuation of the overall uptrend you created since like April. Even though it doesn't feel like it's in an uptrend right now, you still technically are making higher lows very slightly. Not much of a pattern on high time frames. You're still under the $9 resistance. On low time frames, you have bullish divergence on the 1 hour, and I mean MACD, just on the MACD, not on the RSI. And if it breaks, kind of like, you could chart it in a few different ways, but if it just breaks out of this downtrend and starts putting in higher highs and higher lows, $9 can easily be retested on Clover. AMC, BNGO. Yeah, keep hitting that like button. Thank you very much for the 32 likes. Check out the links in the description. If you want to send me a tip, that's the pinned chat. If you want to join premium alerts, that's the first link in the description. AMC, maybe it's trying to double bottom off of $9. I kind of feel neutral about it. It's just kind of in between a support and resistance, in my opinion, dating back to 2019. The 878 support is from July of 2019. The 1073 resistance is your support from August of 2019 and your support from November of 2017. So it's just in between a support and resistance. I'm kind of neutral on it. Whichever way it breaks out, I'll probably be telling. BNGO, you have some classic bullish divergence developing on the 4 hour MACD, which is good. Even on the RSI, you have classic bullish divergence. So the 4 hour oscillators look good. I don't really see much of a pattern though. It looks like it got down to fill a gap finally from like January 8th of this year. And it just kind of looks similar to a lot of other things that have been beaten down for months. They just kept being beaten down, and today finally they're showing that divergence with nice green candles, but you need confirmation tomorrow and in the coming days. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah. Future is still down about 1/3%. Bitcoin and crypto is not moving too much. Few cryptos, Zcash is going crazy. Do you all remember, I never alerted this, but right over here on stream, live on stream, like a week ago, I said Zcash looked good. It had hidden bullish divergence and an inverse head and shoulders. Since that stream, it went up like over 30%. So that's crazy. That's really the best performing crypto in the last couple of hours. Just pumping right now. On Bitfinex, it's not even all-time highs. Not even close. 384 is like your next resistance on Bitfinex. I don't know, I just picked a random ticker. Just kind of doing whatever right now. And yeah. I don't know, maybe we might close out the stream there if that kind of covered everything. It's just like we're still waiting on a lot of more variables to prove themselves on a lot of stocks. We're waiting for that confirmation. So tomorrow's going to be a very important day for growth. Might just be a neutral day for the indices. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. All right, thank you for coming out to the stream. Hopefully we get some confirmation on these growth stocks tomorrow, but who knows. And hope you have a good night. Thank you for coming out to the stream. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out the links in the description, and I'll be live again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. EST. So that'll do it. Peace out, everybody.